Nation, welcome back. It's the Two Do Men. In the shack in the back, as always, it's Skaggs and the Captain. And first and foremost, thank you guys for checking out episode 52, Pete's Saloon. It was a great episode. We've gotten some huge positive feedback.
Yes.
So as always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It's right down there. I know you're smart enough to do it.
We're only 10 away right now from 100.
There we go.
Yeah.
So keep them going. And we are raffling off the PS5. We'll be dropping a new video about the details for the PS5. We have it. It's right over there. It looks awesome. We can't wait for one of you guys to play it. Also, on top of that, you'll be getting a gift card from Pete's Saloon and donating to the Barstool Small Business Fund. So you want to tell the nation what we'll be talking about today?
Yeah, we're going to get back into some current events and things that are going on. We are going to definitely talk about the strike that Biden launched in Syria. And we'll also talk about the Equality Act passing in Congress.
And a little Q shit.
And some Q stuff. And we're going to talk about Potato Head.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
Because I'm losing my mind now. We've been sticking to the political stuff for a while now. There's going to be a few off-topic episodes because I'm reaching the end of my rope.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Next couple episodes, maybe we'll have some of our friends in, just have a good time.
Yeah.
And,
little lightheartedness.
Yes.
So let's start with bombing Syria.
Yeah, let's start with that. Let me ask you first, how familiar are you with the history between America and Iran?
None. From what I learned in high school all those eons ago.
So this strike apparently was carried out because in the past couple of weeks, Iranian militia in Syria have been shooting rockets at our troops over in Iraq. So I guess the military's like, fuck you, we're gonna strike you back and
clap back,
right? And whatever, that's what the military does. I obviously think this was not a good idea. It was wrong.
Nope.
And not that defending yourself is wrong, but like the whole where we are. Like I posted
the
a
hypocrisy
meme.
of it.
I posted a meme. It's like, how dare Iran put their country, right next to all our military bases?
Yeah.
Like we have them surrounded. If you're not familiar with the geography of the area, Afghanistan is on one side, on the right on the east of Iran, and Iraq is on the west of Iran. So we have them completely surrounded in the region. And our history with Iran goes back to 1952, I believe. Right? Yes, 1952.
Good year.
After the Cold War, well, not after, like when the Cold War was beginning, we wanted a guy in there that would help us in the Cold War and like oppose the Soviet Union and like the spread of communism. So we put in this guy, like the Shah of Iran. He's kind of like the king, I guess you could say. And he was a terrible fucking, brutal.
We picked a real good guy, huh?
Brutal dictator, and the people absolutely fucking hated him. So we've been meddling in Iran's business since 1952, and we put the Shah in by a CIA engineered coup. On top of that.
There's no such things as coups. I don't know what you're talking about.
And he was a real piece of shit, the Shah. And then in 1979, the current Islamist regime overthrew the Shah, and we've been at odds with Iran since 79. We armed Saddam Hussein in the Iran-Iraq war in the 80s. We fought in Iraq then in the 90s in the Gulf War.
Yep.
We invaded Iraq again in the 2000s and Afghanistan after 9/11, the war on terror.
Weapons of... Have you ever noticed, like, Reagan had the war on drugs. We lost the war on drugs. Bush had the war on terror. We lost the war on terror. Like... These Republican presidents have this war on something, and it's a guaranteed loss.
To be fair, you're blaming it on the Republicans. They might have been the ones to initiate the wars on whatever, but the Democrats, they
were all for it.
They picked up the torch and continued. There was no more. Obama had more drone strikes than anybody when he took over. So that's like we've been fucking with Iran for 60, even more actually,
Yeah.
52. But we're in 21 now.
Yeah.
It's fucking like
50, 60,
70
70,
something,
80,
like
90,
70 something years. We've been meddling.
2000 to 10.
We've
Yeah.
been meddling in
60
Iran's
years.
affairs. Could you, say what you want? Are they good guys over there? The regime, probably not.
No.
But why is that our problem?
Got
The
to
Cold
police the
War is
world.
the Cold War is
Yeah.
over.
I mean, well, look at, my father directly fought in Vietnam. What was Vietnam? A police action. Did we really need all these
Yeah.
American men to die in a police action? What do you think's going on in
Hmm.
Iran? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just another action that's costing lives.
Right. And American lives, but how about those people's lives too? How
Oh yeah,
many
completely ruined.
how many
Yes.
Iraqis over the years have died
Hmm.
because of like the war and
Innocent
whatnot?
people, or just,
They're
or
people too.
yeah, or just families torn apart. Their son grows up in this war torn country
Hmm.
and just grows to hate America. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Right.
You grew up watching Americans just trash your country.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter what the media says or what your newspaper reads or anything like that. You're going to hate America.
Yeah.
And you're going to grow up and you're going to just fight back as hard as you possibly can as well.
This is something me and you definitely agree on. Like
Yeah.
the justifications for these wars in this area are always, well, we have, we're bringing Iraqi freedom and we're making
Yeah.
sure we protect America. How the fuck are we protecting America or
I
making
kn-
America any safer by
even
these actions?
even when I was younger, like, but pre 9/11, I'll say, because that was an attack on our home
Uh-huh.
country. Whatever I think of 9/11 or not, that's a different, that's a completely different,
Hmm.
episode. But I always like, and I don't mean to sound like insensitive, but like, this is an extremely poor country. What threat did they ever hold over
Hmm.
us? I mean, now, yes, they have nuclear or
Iran.
supposedly nuclear
They've been
weapons.
working on.
Yeah,
They've been 3 days away from getting. I saw Dave Smith's
yeah,
like they've been 3 days or 3 years away from getting nuclear weapons for 30 years.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which is also ridiculous too, because like, who are they partnered with? Like Russia or like,
I guess.
you know,
Yeah,
like,
the axis of evil
yeah, like,
powers.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Legion of Doom or something, and we're like, I really find it hard to believe that, like, if they are this power, and they are in their own right in that area of the world, if you're working with Russia, like, Russia should just be like, here's a nuclear weapon. You know what I mean? Like, I
Hmm.
guess you're not going to give up any because they could fire one back at
Back at
you.
you.
But
That
like,
would draw major repercussions from us too if they
yeah.
did such a
Oh well,
thing.
then it's perfect. This is exactly
Yeah.
what this is exactly what Congress and the House wants
Yeah.
right now.
You
Uh,
know, this is going to be an "I told you so" episode also,
Yes.
right? Because what did we say? What did we
We're
say
only
when?
the entire Biden. If this show continues for the next 4 years and Biden survives for the next 4 years, it's going to be nothing but "I told you so" episode. I told you so episodes.
Yeah, we said that once the establishment got back into power, they would start another war. And did they start a war? No, because wars don't are not.
Right.
They never like officially declare war anymore. They just
Well,
they
we're
take
always at a state of
unilateral
war.
military action. Just for no reason, basically.
I have to give it up though. I have to give it up. They did it under Biden's watch. They this is so my original theory as Trump's final days in office, there Iran started popping up in a few blips in the media. And I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if, we start seeing some threat of war before Trump's out of office. Because how
Uh-huh.
great would those headlines read? Trump starts war before we leave
Biden
office.
comes in to clean it up.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, the ultimate fluff piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you could continue with this because I have just hypocrisy loaded in my guns right now to fire back at this.
Yeah, I mean, we could just openly discuss it. And my only notes were just to give a little background
Yeah.
on our history with Iran. My giving like the background of our history with Iran is it's like these people don't hate us for no reason.
No, exactly. We've
Ev-
given them a reason.
Everything we do always comes back to bite us in the ass.
Yeah.
Every time the United States tries to get involved and meddle in another country's business, it always makes us less safe, less secure. We did it.
We're creating the
Look,
creating the emergency.
Yes, basically, look, they wouldn't hate us if we never went in there in '52 and tried to like set up the government the way we wanted
Yeah.
it to be with the coup. There'd be no Al Qaeda if we didn't arm
didn't arm 'em.
Osama
Yeah.
and that whole crew in '89
Yep.
against the Soviet Union when they invaded Afghanistan. So like this federal government, like this, neoliberal, just war machine, the military industrial complex. They go around the world breaking shit. And then when it's broken and it comes back to haunt us, they say, well, look, that's why you need us,
Yeah.
because all these things are broken and we got to go around and
Yep.
break more shit to fix it. We got to break
And-
shit to fix it all
and-
the time. It doesn't make any sense.
And on top of it, sooner than later, with this whole domestic terrorist stuff, we're finally
Yeah.
going to have the war
Oh, they
here
can't
on
wait.
our front doorstep.
Dude, I shared
Yeah,
it. I'm
yeah,
like, they're going to share on shipping costs now
Yeah.
for all the weapons
Exactly.
they get to sell.
Exactly. My big issue here, though, I guess I have some Biden derangement syndrome. I don't know. All those old tweets of this time last year, Trump killed a terrorist who was found being plotted, who they had evidence of him plotting against American soldiers and American bases. So
Who? The Russia?
no, the terrorist that he killed in Saudi Arabia or whatever.
Oh, Soleimani.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so Trump gave a reason he was plotting against American soldiers on American, and Trump was always the one saying, you will make a big mistake by attacking us. The media, CNN, would have had you believe a year ago that we were going into World War III. And the second I saw World War III in the headlines, I said, we are not getting into World War III. It's not going to happen. And then, poof, just like that, it disappeared from it, and we didn't go into World War III. But now I am seeing things about people saying, oh, man, that Syria strike, at least there's no high school threat level tweets going out. Is this what we're worried about? Or was Trump's real issue that he tweeted about this stuff? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, let's forget the fact that we launched a missile that killed other human beings.
Yeah.
And these are liberals you're talking about, because I know exactly the blue check Twitter people you're talking about that tweeted this shit. We're talking about life and death, right? And say what you want about me and you and how we think about, but we oppose like war and killing and all this bullshit that's done for no reason.
Spending all this money on it.
You know what I mean? But you have liberals that are cheering it on, just like they cheer on the tech censorship and stuff like that. They're liberals that call themselves liberals, but they're liberals. You know how there's Rhino, like Republican only in name? There's liberals that are liberal only in name.
Yeah.
They don't embody any real liberal views.
Yeah,
liberals, like me, I consider myself a liberal. We're against war.
Yeah.
All forms of war. The only sort of war we should be fighting is if it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, if somebody is on the coast of California bombing the shit out of San Francisco, fight back.
World War II was absolutely necessary. We had, empires, and you could even say in that there were some repercussions in World War II of why Japan attacked us and Germany
because the
attacked us
Rothschilds paid for it.
We were giving the weapons to England. We were cutting off the supply of oil to Japan.
Yeah.
We were putting pressure on both of those empires. They figured these Americans, we got to go after them.
Fuck around.
Obviously they were both wrong, and we gave them a whoop for both.
A whooping.
But it's every policy America does. Like I heard in Dave Smith's his podcast, he's like, if you want to look at who is the next people we're going to be fighting, it's like, look at who we're funding right now.
Yeah.
And you'll see in a few years, that's who we're going to be fighting. Like, we make our own fucking problems.
We build up the enemy so we have a formidable opponent.
And America is traditionally, from the beginning, after we won the Revolutionary War, it was like an isolationist country. We don't want to be bothered in the world's affairs.
Well, yeah,
that
we
was the
won our
precedent
freedom.
set by Washington and the Founding Fathers. And after, like around... I guess you could say like after the Civil War, like around the First World War, we got out of control.
There's though, being in their shoes in the time of World War I, it's corruption. The money that they made on a war
It's insane.
was, I mean, these were price tags that at that time were inconceivable even for like a government to be making. You know what I mean? So the return on the war profiteering was tremendous, probably. And once you got that taste, the ball just never stopped rolling.
And our involvement in World War I was like, it's not clear why did we have to get involved in World? It's not like World War II. You had the most evil people ever, the Nazis. Obviously, someone had to go put a whoop for, like I said before, on those guys. But the First World War, the Nazis weren't in power. It was just like the German chancellor. I'm good, and Germany, and like that's fucking Europe's problem. Like, why did we have to go for it? But that was really the beginning of this military-industrial complex, war profiteering. I just watched actually this movie that our buddy Jamie told me about, War Dogs. Did you get a chance to watch it?
No, it's on my list. I know they were
It
selling
was,
guns and stuff,
yeah, it
right?
was
Yeah.
great. It was with Jonah Hill. I forgot the other guy's name, and it was funny, but it also shows you how
True
like,
story, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it's funny because obviously Jonah Hill, a funny guy, and it shows you how like there's companies out there making money off of war,
Yeah.
and the government was posting military contracts. We need these weapons for this on the website. These two guys would go find these little tiny contracts, and they would try and like work it out and sell.
Yeah.
It was a great movie. I definitely recommend it. And what was great about it also was even like just the opening scene gives you a breakdown of how much money it costs to outfit every American soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And the initial breakdowns, like it costs $17,500 to outfit every American soldier on the battlefield. And there's like how many, hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
over the years, millions of American soldiers. That's so much money. And these guys want war. Like
Yeah, of
if there
course.
is no war, if there's no American soldiers out in the battlefield,
Think of how much.
there's no 17,500 that they're gonna make for
Yeah.
outfitting them.
Think how much money they lost under the Trump administration without starting any new wars.
That's why they were lying to him
Yeah.
about the troop levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also something, something that we never really covered during Trump's final year, and something obviously the media never covered, and probably some of you listeners have never even knew. Trump was in tons of peace treaty talks
Yes.
and contracts with members of the Middle East. And he was becoming very successful with this path. I wish I did a little bit more homework on who signed these peace treaties and stuff, but these were peace treaties that were resolved in his administration that have been at odds with each other for centuries,
Yeah.
decades at least.
I can look some up. But you're right.
I mean, you see you see the tweet every once in a while. Are we missing Trump yet? And just seeing something like this, like just in comparison, when we killed this terrorist this time last year, we had a reason. We knew he was plotting against us. There's no information on this Syria attack.
Well, they say that it's because the past couple of weeks, like I said, it was rocket attacks.
Okay,
The
but
thing
Kamala,
is, I didn't.
VP Harris wasn't even in the loop. You saw that?
Yeah, but whatever. I don't care about her. She's offended. Whatever. Big deal. You're the
Hey,
VP.
man, she's-
What did we say? What did we say
She's
months
the most
ago?
important person. She's a woman. She's the VP.
Yeah, but what did we say before? She's not the president, though. Biden
Yeah.
is the president, so he doesn't have to fill her
True.
in. Historically, too, there's been certain presidents that don't fill their vice president on everything because, motherfucker, you ain't the president.
He probably didn't
know
even
what I mean?
remember what her phone number was. Misspelled her email.
Even when we blew up Soleimani, it was a little bit different because Soleimani was in Iraq. Like he was not in Iran or in Syria, which we're not really like in there. He was kind of on our turf. I guess you could say Iraq's our fucking turf now. And
Would they
but
be
at the same
considered
time-
an ally?
yeah, Iraq's our
Okay, so then yeah.
but he was there. I don't know, to like you're saying, to planning whatever. But I still didn't think we should have. I mean, the guy was a piece of shit, so I'm not gonna fucking shed a tear over him.
No.
One less evil
Like
person in the
people
world
did.
is
Like people did.
One less evil person in the world is a good thing. But at the same time, how many people in Iran are now like, cutting themselves and like, I would get vengeance for against America for Soleimani. Like we just go further and further down the rabbit hole, piss Iran off more. We're always gonna have problems, and we could crush Iran if we really wanted to. But why? Like, why do we give a fuck about Iran? I don't care. I care about America. I care about our own people and the problems within our own boundaries. I don't give a flying fuck what is going on in Iran. That's their fucking problem. As messed up as that might sound, not my problem.
Yeah.
My tax money should not be aimed at dismantling Iran. Let them fucking worry about it.
Let them dismantle themselves. It would happen incredibly fast.
Fuck.
Yeah. It's just all. It's nonsense. So remember I said 40 days in, war's back on the menu. We didn't call this.
I'm surprised it took so long.
We were texting about it. Just realize here we are. The Trump administration was so bad, this, that, blah, blah. Here we are. I think today is day 40 of Biden's administration.
We're around there, yeah.
And we already bombed Syria. You know what I mean? Like, they wasted. If you don't think there is this military industrial complex, and if you don't think there is war profiteering, they didn't even wait 2 months.
Hmm. You know what's something
The ink
interesting?
isn't even dry
Dry
yet.
yet,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
You know what's something interesting? I saw a couple of videos people posted on Twitter showing the media coverage of the.
killed a hero.
This is gonna surprise you because do you remember back when Trump first took over? There was that Syria like launched that poison gas attack that killed children and
Oh, the
stuff, and there was
chemical
the video
thing.
video
Yeah.
right. So Trump was like, "We got to respond. They can't just allow these guys to kill children." He launched those attacks against the bases, blew them up or whatever, and people were showing media reaction videos to that attack on Twitter, and like these MSNBC, CNN anchors, they get rock hard for military action. There was one that was disgusting. This one guy was like, and there goes, like they were showing the missile launching and
Mhm.
going off the ship. He's like, it's a big, beautiful ray of light. There
Jesus.
goes our missiles, off
Yeah.
into the night to do like, to do,
Well,
I don't
do
know,
our
whatever.
bidding.
Like
Yeah.
he was like saying it like he was reciting a poem. It's like, and that was like
It's good
MSNBC.
TV view. It's ratings.
But regardless, like MSNBC is supposed to be liberal. You have this liberal, right? They're not liberal really, but
Well, it's supposed to be
they're
unbiased,
they're
but now
writing
we know
fucking
that's not true.
poems about like about military
Yeah.
unilateral military action that we shouldn't be involved in. They're writing, he's
Yeah.
reciting a poem about it.
Haiku.
Everything is so fucked. I mean,
Yeah.
like
It's
from top
the
to bottom,
upside
dude.
down world, man. It's the upside down world. Just alone, like people are more excited that we bombed Syria and Biden didn't tweet about it than anything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it's so strange that like we're really hinging the past president's entire existence off of his Twitter account.
Yeah,
Was that really? Is it really that important? Like,
that's how deranged people are,
yeah,
bro.
you know,
How funny is it? We've shared it so many times on our Instagram. The plane, and it's like
yeah,
Republicans, and it's just an Air Force bomber
yeah,
dropping bombs, and it's like Democrats, and
yeah.
it's the
It's
Air
got the
Force bomber.
transgender
It's
flag
got
and
the
Black Lives
flag,
Matter.
Black Lives Matter, and then
The
I
real
stumbled
missile.
across a real picture of a missile that had the transgender
We are going.
colors on it, and it had the Black Lives Matter thing on it. I don't know the details behind it.
We're gonna show you it right here.
Yeah.
It will appear here.
Um, I think my sneaking suspicion as to why that's even a thing is because these Air Force guys saw the
Yeah,
meme,
and made it.
thought it was funny,
Yeah.
and they went and be like, "Yo, if we go and paint this on the side of a
We're
bomb or
gonna be
whatever, it's
famous,
going to be
yeah.
a funny meme." And they
Yeah.
were probably having a good time. That is my suspicion. I have no idea if that's true. I could have just made that up. I don't know, but
But I wonder if like the people in Syria, when they see like that Black Lives Matter bomb coming, they all like
Yeah.
gather around like this is great.
Right.
This is what I've been because they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. It doesn't
Mhm.
being woke and virtue signaling does not justify bombing
Yeah.
these people.
Right, these poor people in Syria,
Yeah.
right? They're like, wow, this one was sent by Lloyd Austin, the first
Yeah.
man of color to be the Secretary of Defense. Thank you for the diversity. As a bomb is raining death
Yep.
upon their head.
As I get split into a million pieces in an instant,
Yeah.
I am so happy to know.
Bro, that's the way the establishment and the Democrats operate. Though.
I've-
They put in, you
Yep.
could be a person of color and you could be an establishment neoliberal hack, and that's what they do. They justify
So-
putting these warmongers and these corporate fucking hacks
Yeah.
in because they say, look, it's a black guy or look,
Well,
it's
yeah,
a transgender
so-
woman or whatnot, and we have no problem with either of those
Nothing.
groups, but they're just using that as like a shield.
Yeah, this is the phrase that I've put together in my head for this because I was thinking about it for a while. The Democratic establishment puts people of color or women or of a certain sex or a sexual orientation, gay or transgendered, in these positions of power as a crutch to show that they have the moral and virtuous high ground.
Mhm.
So when anybody is like, no, this is wrong, what you are doing is wrong, I'm black, you're racist, I'm a woman, you're sexist, I'm gay, you're homophobic. It's you said it, a shield. I said it's a crutch to get what they want and to have their ass covered. So they get to step up with this person of color or this person of sexual orientation to get their agenda pushed, and then they use that crutch as their shield to say, you can't, how are you going to come at me like this now? And it's designed like this on purpose. They're not, this is what really upsets me. I was, because we're very open minded. We have no issues with any race, religion, sex, sexual orientation. I don't care if you're transgendered. I don't care if you're gay. We're going to talk about the Equality Act. You know, I don't. It doesn't matter to me, and we're not even going to go into whether you're qualified or not. What a travesty it is that, oh, this is the first black man to do it. Oh, this is the first transgender person to do it. But you're being used. I would I would be way more proud as an American to see some transgendered person rise through the ranks of government and earn this spot and do and be all they can be in this position.
Hmm.
Throw their sexual orientation to the wind. This is a good person that I don't care that they're transgendered. This is a leader that we should be behind.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Just because you're black or because you're a woman, cool. If you're a leader, you're a leader. It doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Don't make that the reason you're a leader. That negates all of it. That negates the the prestige or the honor of being the first black
The
person.
achievement.
The achievement. Yeah.
Yeah, let me give you my own personal, I guess you could say, experience based on what you just said. What you just said, by the way, that was beautiful. That was
Yeah.
you said it perfectly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Everything I was thinking. When I was
Thank Montauk Brewing Company.
when Obama ran for office in 2008,
We were in college.
right?
Yeah.
He ran on that ideal of change, and I loved him. Right, I loved it. I thought, wow, like
He was
finally we're getting this
when-
guy that I want. That's gonna like smash this bullshit fucking.
when he first showed up, there was nothing like him in the world.
But like when he was running, right? I had similar mindset. Not exactly the same. I've gotten older. I've gotten wiser, I guess you could say, or dumber. But when Obama was running, I was like, wow, this guy is going to change shit from that Bush establishment war forever. I'm like, this guy's going to come in and he's going to like smash the establishment and like fix everything to really represent the people fun. And I remember thinking in my mind, I'm like, and he's a black guy. I'm like, this is great. I'm like, it's poetic justice that America. We've had so many problems over the years. The first African American president's going to be the one to come in and fucking smash it to the ground and fix everything and make everything better. And I was so happy when he got elected. I'm like, finally, we got our fucking guy in.
And then 4 years later,
he became the establishment that I hated.
Yeah.
After that, for
He
the most
became
part, I still like him. Like I thought he's well spoken. He was very presidential and whatnot. But he played ball with the people who I hated, the Hillarys and whatnot. He picked Hillary right away.
He's a Manchurian candidate, man. Yeah.
So it was a disappointment at the end of the day. I thought, like, wow, not only are we going to get to smash the establishment, but it's going to be monumental because a black dude's going to do it. It's going to be like poetic justice, finally.
Which would be great.
Yeah.
Which I'd be ecstatic if that actually took
Happened.
place.
Right.
Yes.
But instead now they've adopted I guess they saw how popular Obama was,
Yeah.
and they've adopted that model now. Look, let's put people of color,
Makes
let's
them
put
untouchable.
minorities in there
Yeah.
to carry out our neoliberal establishment goals of war and corruption and everything,
like-
and nothing for the working class, and we could use them as the crutch. If you criticize it, we're racist now because we're talking about it.
Just like we said in last week's episode on Pete Saloon, where they asked the press secretary, "Oh, what is Biden doing for small businesses?" And he's like, "Well, he put a woman in charge."
What the fuck? What is
I'm
that?
glad she's a woman, but if she turns around small business in America, then this is a great step up for women. If small businesses don't get better, you're not doing anything for us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And women own small businesses, so like we need to help small businesses because women own them.
My favorite thing about all this, though, is we talk about women and the crutch. The other beer's over here if you want it.
I was gonna get water.
No, I'm good, thank you. They put the woman in charge and stuff like this. It's such a diverse administration. Oh, it's full of diversity. Blah blah blah. You guys still chose a rich old white guy to run the country. You still you negated everything. You didn't want a rich old white guy, so you didn't vote for Bernie Sanders, but you voted for Joe Biden, who was going to make this great. As far as I'm concerned, this diverse administration is bullshit because you are having just a rich old white guy pick this diverse Why don't we get a diverse leader to pick a diverse administration?
I mentioned it a little bit. You guys weren't really familiar with her, but Neera Tanden, who was getting like she was getting nominated for budget office or whatever, and she's so establishment, so anti raising the
Oh, is
minimum
this the one
wage.
that's got the really bad past?
Yes,
Yeah.
was very critical of Bernie, very critical of like every progressive's ideology, goals, whatever. And she's not going to get the job because you know who stood against her, Joe Manchin, right?
Really?
Who's not progressive, and right away they threw at him. Well, he's a fucking racist. He's trying to stop a woman of color and what. I'm like, you know what? Maybe, but at the same time, I'll use this
Yeah.
asshole's, like whatever the fuck because he stopped some neoliberal,
Yeah.
person,
Establishment member.
establishment hack from getting in position. Now go put someone who's really gonna,
Yeah, who's going to make the
make
change.
the change. She was not, but she's gonna get another role.
Yeah.
They always find their way in.
Dude, even she'll find some role and the media will never cover it. You'll never know. And she's the one pulling the strings that changes your life. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm
What's next on the
disappointed.
docket?
Yeah, all
Or
right.
you want to keep doing this? Because
No,
I'll
that's
keep
okay.
going. That's fine.
Let's talk about the Equality Act.
Okay.
Which
So,
to be fair, sounds great. The Equality Act passed Congress or the House or whatever. It still has to go through the Senate. That's always a fucking battle. So it's not like officially law yet.
I'm glad you brought up the Senate, too. Because Doom Nation, mark the time and date. I am finally on Skaggs' side. I'm done with Mitch McConnell.
Oh, he's the worst. Yeah.
I've always kept my mouth shut about Mitch McConnell, but the amount of times this guy has flip flopped on supporting and not supporting Trump, get this man out of office. This turtle looking motherfucker. Get him out. He fucked Trump all up until he had to cast his vote in this impeachment. And then now Trump is talking this weekend at the CPAC, Conservative Action Political whatever. And right away, McConnell has a quote out saying, like, he supports Trump for his future endeavors. What? What?
McConnell had just said that he basically, during the impeachment thing,
Yes.
McConnell said that Trump basically was responsible for the people storming the Capitol. Or whatnot, even though he didn't vote to impeach him. Like, everything he does is a fucking hypocritical. He's
the
only looking
worst.
out for himself. Go ahead.
If anybody is familiar with Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there's an episode where I think Frank is going to give up the bar to his, successor or whatever, and Mac just wants to be on the winning team, but he doesn't understand how to play both sides of the fence. So he goes to both opposing parties and he's like, I'm playing both sides of the fence. I feel like McConnell is in the Senate and he's talking to Schumer and he's like, yeah, I'm with you guys. Fuck Trump. I'm playing both sides of the fence. You know
He's
what I
just
mean? Like,
outright saying,
yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
He basically is, yeah.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. But now on to the Equality Act.
Should I? You want me to give a little background?
Well,
You want to talk about first how difficult it was to find the information about the act itself?
We'll do that since you have the. I will complain, and then you could give the actual
Okay, go
facts.
ahead.
So, we obviously like different perspectives. We obviously don't want to sound like bigoted idiots. We obviously try to put in some research. Now, Skaggs and I, outside of the show, do live two different lives, and one of us has more time than the other. And he suggested to me, let's read the Equality Act, let's learn about it, and then we could talk about it. And this was a good idea. It was a good idea. I got the gist of the act. I don't know what's in the hard copy bill of it. So I sat down at my computer. I was on Politico. I was on CNN. I was on ABC. I was on the New York Times. Tons of shit. There is no fucking information on the Equality Act out there. I had to consider going to congress.org and reading the actual bill, which I'm not a lawyer. It makes zero fucking sense, anything that it's saying in there. Every news article didn't talk a single word about what the Equality Act is. I have more questions now than I did before I started this research. All I know from the Equality Act is 3 GOP members crossed political party lines and voted in favor. Oh my goodness. I am furious about this shit. Enough with the political party lines. Just give us I don't care who voted for it. I don't care that it's getting. Well, no, I do care that it's getting passed, but I don't know what it's about, and I can't find out what it's about because the media doesn't give a shit what it's about. They're just fucking virtue signaling,
Yeah,
and it's the most
on both
infuriating
sides.
thing. I spent over an hour trying to just figure out what this bill is about, and I got nowhere. All I know is, what's Major Greenie or whatever put the fucking what's her
I'm
name?
gonna shit on her, so yeah, we'll
That's
get
fine.
into her.
She
But
put there's only two genders up. The person across the hall put the
yeah,
trans
I'm gonna talk
flag
about
up.
that.
This is the only information I got on a
Hmm.
bill that is going to change people's lives.
Yeah. It's funny because when you told me that, you're like, I'm having trouble finding any
Yes.
information. I was laughing because I'm like, dude, me too. When I proposed that we do a lot more research on this, and I was googling, what is in the Equality Act, all the articles where if it was from Fox News, it was like, here are the three
Yeah,
Republicans
we got to vote them out.
that voted in favor of the
Yeah.
Equality Act. And right, we got to vote them out. And then like the CNN one or the MSNBC one was like, here are all the Republicans who voted against the
Yeah.
Equality Act, and this, and I couldn't really find any information about the
There was
Equality Act. I did eventually,
it was
but
full pages I was
yeah,
reading. Politico,
who cares, man? I want to know
I
about it.
read the entire Politico article. It it never mentioned one word of what is in
Yeah,
this bill.
and we had the exact same reaction to this. I at one point was like, I'm gonna have to go and get the hard
Yeah.
copy and read it, but like you said, those things are fucking hundreds of pages
They
long.
don't make
They don't
sense.
make sense. We're not lawyers, right? So I need someone to break. And that there's a danger in that too, because when someone reads
Then
it
yeah,
and then breaks it down and they
you
tell
get
you
their point of
you
view.
get their version of it. Their version's biased because they're people and they push their agenda. Um, but eventually I did find an article that gives a pretty decent breakdown over what
Good.
it's
Maybe
about.
we'll get to talk about what the bill is.
And it came from NPR.org. So on Thursday, the House of Representatives voted to pass the Equality Act, a bill that would ban discrimination against people based on sexual orientation and gender identity. It would also substantially expand the areas to which those discrimination protections apply. It's a bill that President Biden, blah, 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 blah. I want to get to like the actual meat and potatoes here because there's, of course, a shit ton of fluff in here. So it's also controversial. While the Equality Act has broad support among Democrats, many Republicans oppose it, fearing that it would infringe upon religious objections. So what would the Equality Act do? The Equality Act would amend the 1964 Civil Rights Act to explicitly prevent discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity.
Which
So
we're fine with.
yeah, the civil
Cool.
right, the Martin Luther King Civil Rights Act did not include. It
The
included like
LGBT
right.
community.
It didn't include that. It included like just race and people and stuff. Um, so basically, this act would explicitly enshrine those non-discrimination protections into law for sexual orientation and gender identity. So this act will make sure that people can't discriminate against gay people and can't discriminate against like transgender or people who are
Which
like have a weird,
which is
not weird, but like
no, yeah.
sorry, I don't mean it that way, but people who are
Careful.
gender. I know I'm trying to tread lightly here. Gender identity
Yeah,
issues.
which is fine, So something like the Equality Act, and I've always known people from the LGBT community since
Hmm.
probably high school, I would say. I've never really hated on them or anything of that nature. I've always accepted it because I always look at it as I don't care who
Yeah.
you sleep with. If you don't want to call yourself a boy and you want to call yourself a they or a he, what? Cool. You're not taking any money out of my pocket at the
Yeah,
end of
who
the day.
cares?
And I never understood homophobia. You live in New Jersey. What do you care if John and Mike in Tennessee want to get married? You know what I'm saying? Like the
Doesn't
only
affect your life at
yeah.
all.
Listen, if for every gay marriage that happened in the state of New York, my taxes went up 2%, I'd have a problem. Okay? You know what I mean? But like besides that, these are American citizens. They didn't come here illegally. They were born in the country. They go to work every day. They get the same amount of taxes taken out of their paycheck as I do.
Right.
Nothing is different about this community other than their sexual orientation. So for the fact It boggles my mind that they need
to
these
do that. But
equality acts because
mhm.
there should be nothing being held against them.
Yeah, but that's pie in the sky.
No, yeah,
In the
it's in a
real
perfect
world,
world. Yes, I get
in the
it.
real world, there was slavery, there was Jim Crow, there
But the
was
LGBTQ community was never enslaved.
no,
They've been
but they've been
discriminated against,
discriminated
but
against,
yeah.
and how do you
Oh, and I
you have
understand.
you
I
have to make
understand.
it against
There's
the rules
yeah,
to do that. Otherwise, people are going to do it.
but
So
I kind of feel like that was. I really, I personally, who complain as much as I do, think America as a whole is way past the discrimination of
no, I
LGBTQ.
don't think so.
Really?
There's a battle happening about the bill
Because they're
itself.
making a battle. Yeah, the battle is
No,
with is the
there's
battle's
a
about religion, and the one thing I agree with this is the transgendered in girl sports. It's
yeah.
we'll get to that. You continue with that. We'll get to it.
So what do the proponents say about this bill? And supporters say that the Equality Act simply extends basic, broadly accepted tenets of the Civil Rights Act to classes of people that the bill didn't apply to before, like we said, gay people and transgender people. Um, so this is basically this act kind of gives the ruling on. I'm sure if you've heard this example before, the baker that doesn't want to bake a cake for the gay wedding couple.
Hmm.
This act says no, you have to bake the cake for the gay wedding couple because you
Which
can't discriminate. I was going to ask you what did you think about that scenario? Like,
um
and the baker didn't want to bake the cake because he felt gay people getting married was against his religion. That was to
so
add more context to it.
so it's a double-edged sword, and I'm going to take a play out of the left's playbook. So me personally, I think it's stupid that he didn't want to make a cake for a gay wedding or anything like that. I agree that you shouldn't be allowed to discriminate like that. And that's the moderate in me. And then the Republican in me, that's going to take a play right out of the left's playbook. That's a privately owned company that he runs just like Twitter does. And if you don't like Twitter, you can find another social media platform so you can find another baker. Now, don't get me wrong. If I owned a bake shop, you're paying, your money's green. I'll make you whatever cake you want. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like in in the long run, to be arguing over a cake to me is
Yes.
nonsense. Just make the cake. Who
That's
cares?
just the example, though.
Yeah,
It's
no,
a
no,
good example to see how
yeah,
it applied in real life.
and I understand that, but I could also see where there's a double standard as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Because then what about some left wing cake company that won't make a Trump cake or something like that? You know what I mean?
yeah. That's a good point. But
But you're not discriminating anybody's sexual orientation
mhm,
or anything like
right,
that.
Trump.
Trump's not an orientation. Yeah,
Political opinions are not like a protected
yeah.
thing under law. That's
Which,
a good point. I didn't think of it that way.
but like, don't
But
get me wrong. Like, if me and you ran a business, like whatever cake you want, here you go,
yeah, I
pal.
don't care
Like,
who
it's
you
not
are.
gonna,
I
you
do
know.
think I think this is actually for once. I think this is a good bill that the Democrats did. Like the Republicans and their objections over religious liberty and this and that and whatever. Listen, if you're a hardcore Mormon or whatever the fuck and you're a baker, you want to stay open in business, then you got to follow fucking rules. Your
But you're a
business,
private company.
but okay, but your
Yeah,
business is in the
yeah,
United States, right? I'm not talking about if you want to be bigoted in your own mind and your religion is bigoted, that's your fucking problem.
yeah,
But if you want to run a business in America where business has nothing to do with religion and all that other stuff,
yeah,
you have to serve everybody. You
yeah. No,
can't, unless someone comes in and starts like fucking punching you in the head, then you don't
yeah,
have to serve that person. But you can't take your religious beliefs, in my opinion, and say I'm not gonna carry out business because of my religious beliefs. The two have nothing to do with each other.
yeah,
Church and state are separate. Business and church are separate. If you want to talk about like within the church, like if the church doesn't think gay people should be married, and like the Catholic, I'm not sure what the rule is right now, but the Catholic,
it's something. It's that they don't. The marriage isn't seen in the eyes of when you got
right?
married. What was that whole line in the eyes of God and stuff?
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to take the actual church or the religion, and then the religion has a rule that gay people can't get married, but That's like the
See,
religions.
I find
That's
that
the
I find that a bigger issue than if you could get a cake
Yeah,
made.
I agree. I agree. But what I'm saying is like that's the religion's rule.
Yeah,
So if you know what I mean, I can't tell a religion
yeah,
what to do. I could disagree with it, but I can't tell them what to do. But when we're talking about business and a bakery, no. I could tell them what they have to follow the fucking rules because they're a business. They're not a religion. It's two completely different things. A mosque has a right, and
right.
because it's part of the Islam religion, that gay people can't get married to not let them get married in the eyes of Allah. And but the government should be able to marry gay people because that has nothing to do with
Yeah,
religion.
they're
Right.
taxpayers.
If you want to go get married in the eyes of God or in the eyes of Allah, then you got to follow that religion's rules, and that's almost not to like stomp on religion, but that's more of it's
Yeah,
like a made up thing, as opposed to like it being like on the books
right,
legally.
right. So my Republican side of this is the pushback from the Republicans in the transgendered in sports because this listen.
They're not making that point that big though. They're really, but go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I am,
Yeah, go ahead.
and you guys are listening to our show. So, um, my issue with it's going to implode on itself. It's going to if listen, the enemy is white men. Fine, we'll play the game.
Yes.
Enemy is white men. Cool. So that means women need to be elevated and they need to be successful, and most of them are, and more of them should be, and I don't disagree. But sooner or later, and now you're not married. Sooner or later, every single women's sport champion is going to be some giant transgender dude, and it's only going to be a matter of a time before women start battling the transgendered community. And then what does that make us? Do we make the women the enemy now? Now are white men and women the enemy? And or
Yeah, well, they already are. The women, are now, what do they call them, turfs or whatever.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
but you know what? This model isn't a model made to last. It's not. It's because you got to like. Let's take women's wrestling or women's martial arts or something. When every state championship or regional championship becomes a transgendered male from male to female, there's going to be an issue.
yeah.
When
This is like the Joe Rogan like opinion. That
yeah,
you have the same opinion
and
that
make your own transgender. And this is the other thing: make a transgendered
league.
league. There's not enough out there to make it. That's the other problem. I don't have a problem with transgendered, but the numbers aren't there to make the. You know what I mean? Like
To create a new
to
division,
create a new
or
league, a new
or, yeah.
division.
Maybe I don't know. Yeah, but I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Probably
Like
not.
I don't. I think this has bad repercussions in the future. Not the equation, not the Equality Act,
Just in sports, you're
but
talking.
but yeah, certain aspects of it might want to
Of
be
course,
rethought.
it's more. It's obviously anything
Yeah.
that Congress does is way more broad than that. Yeah, you're right, but
I
but
think my thing though, like other than like discrimination, like I sound ignorant, but it's just because I'm not educated on it. What I guess like it's the one time you're gonna catch me giving society more credit than it deserves because I never experience it and I never see it and I've never done it. I've never seen this type of level of discrimination against the LGBT community. You know what I mean? Like if there was heavy discrimination against them when they have the entire Pride Month, there'd be a lot of fucking problems. I would think.
But you're not one of a person of
Yeah,
that
I
group.
guess.
You know what I mean? So how would
And I
you,
don't associate
unless
with anyone.
unless you did it to them, how would you see it? And then
Yeah.
in your own mind, you're not gonna be thinking that way. That you would be like, fuck these people." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm sure though that an LGBTQ person has seen multiple instances in their own personal experience of
Yeah, but
of,
how
of
is
that discrimination.
this Equality Act? How is it going to stop the average idiot from discriminating? I could see that a company can no longer
Right.
discriminate, which is good. But I don't feel like that many
Of
companies are
course,
discriminating.
you can never write into law people's minds.
Yeah,
So there's going
exactly.
to be some asshole.
Yes, there's
It's
always
not
going to
right,
be the asshole.
but that asshole cannot discriminate against you. He could discriminate against you with his mind, But when it comes to baking you the cake, he's got to bake you the cake. Because if you don't, you could sue his ass.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well,
That's the way it should be. You know,
yeah.
Look, you can't just with the stroke of a pen change people's minds. There's always going to be these assholes, these pieces of shit. You know, you can try and like change their minds, but you can't just legislate hate
Right.
out of people's minds. That's something that changes over the course of like society and time. You know,
Yeah.
we're way less racist than we now than we were when there
Well,
were slaves.
You,
I'm just
the
saying,
media wouldn't let you believe
right? But
that.
think about it that way.
Yeah.
This country used to have, you know, fields of fucking indentured
Yeah.
slaves
Yeah.
in the fields working, and now we don't anymore. So obviously, over time,
We're
things
less,
you
yeah.
know things have improved as you know as
I
much as
can
they want to
agree
make
with
it
that.
seem
Yeah.
that it hasn't.
So what else you want to talk
I
about
want to
with
talk
this?
about Marjorie Taylor Greene
Okay.
and Marie Newman, Congresswoman Marie Newman, and you were talking about this before. What happened between the two of them?
Which is as
So
childish as it gets,
yes,
but they
they're
both have
not.
the right to do this.
Yes. Okay, we'll start there. They both have the right, I guess you could say, to do this. So Congresswoman Marie Newman, she's a Democrat. In the hallway where her office is, I guess in the Capitol building or wherever, she put a transgender flag in front of her office to show support for this bill coming, you know, to get passed. And she also has a transgender daughter. Marjorie Taylor Greene, her office is literally right on the other side, of the hall. It's like a 6-7 foot hall, and she made a sign, and it says there are only two genders, male and female, and she like
Trust the science.
trust the science, and she puts it up on the wall and makes a a Twitter video of it in response to Marie Newman's Twitter video of her putting up the transgender flag. And I saw this and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm like, all right, this is dumb. I look more into it and I found out that Marie Newman does have a transgender daughter. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, that was a real dickhead fucking thing to do. You know, just on a human, like, just a
Yeah.
common courtesy, human dignity, respect. Your colleague across the aisle here, literally, has a daughter who is
Right.
transgender. I understand you're crazy, whatever you think. You need to be like this outspoken right
Well, she's
wing
been making
person.
all the waves, so
I'm,
she's got
I'm
to
just
keep it
trying. I'm
going.
just trying to like appeal to like common decency.
Right.
You know, this person has a daughter, and you're over here like trying to rub it in her face. What did she do that was so bad? Of putting a flag in the hallway. Big deal. There's nothing. She didn't put that flag up there to piss anybody off. She just put it up there because she's trying to show her support for anything. Marjorie Taylor Greene put that up there to piss her
Yeah.
off. That's a dickhead move. It's really like disrespectful.
It is disrespectful. I don't disagree. It was unneeded. I agree on that. But I think more of the point was that not that what's her name? What's the congresswoman's name with the daughter?
Marie Newman.
Not that Marie Newman is virtue signaling in any way, shape, or form, but I think on Green's behalf, it was here's somebody who has an ideology that no one is going to question because they're using the transgendered crutch to shield them, whereas her idea will automatically be shitted on. It's a two-party system. There's going to be two ideas on each side, two drastically different ideas, which in a two-party system you're going to get no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But here's one idea that has this
Yeah, I
shield in
understand what
front
you're
of
saying.
it, and here's one idea that no matter it didn't have to be her, it could have been anyone. They would have shitted on them in the same respect.
Yeah,
It was unnecessary
yeah.
and it was childish. Don't get me wrong, but there's that crutch and shield.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, the principle is you're literally seeing like the two ideologies across the hall battling against each other. But I'm trying to take the ideologies out of it and put it on a more personal level.
Yes.
You know, and this reminds me of I was listening to Tulsi Gabbard talk, and she was talking about how Congress is like high school. And these fucking politicians, you know,
tit
like
for tat.
tit for tat, and she'd be like, "You could only Tulsi Gabbard saying you would only imagine how, like, if you go sit with, if you're a Democrat and you go sit with a Republican for lunch, the rest of the Democrats are gonna be like, you sat with Mitch McConnell for lunch? Ew, what's wrong with you?
Which is one of the most powerful men in the country.
And vice versa. The Republicans do the same thing. If you try and Tulsi Gabbard was like, we're in fucking Congress. Like,
Yeah.
we're supposed to work with these people, whether we like them or not. But I guess maybe human nature. Like it's like
Yeah.
that office drama,
It's
high school drama
uh,
shit. But
we used to harp
God,
on this when we first started this podcast. It's a two, not one, not three. It's a
it should
two-party
be more.
system. It's a two-party system. There's two ideologies. There's not one. But yeah, you're right, and it should be unbiased, and it should be crossing party lines, and it shouldn't be like high
Yeah,
school.
that's why we should
But
just
we
vote.
have nothing but idiots in
Yeah,
Congress,
vote them
so
all out. Every incumbent,
yeah.
vote them out. So yeah, I thought Marjorie Taylor Greene. I tried to well, she's done a lot of crazy shit so far, and I try to like keep an open mind and see like what's her game or whatever. But this one was like my opinion of her really took a step down. This
Yeah.
was like stupid.
Yeah,
I thought
wasting
she
time.
was an asshole
Yeah.
for this.
So since we were talking about transgendered people, my favorite topic
Yeah.
of the week, Mr. Potato Head.
Well, he is going to continue to be Mr.
Yeah, so
Potato
so
Head,
the
apparently,
saga
now.
continues. Not
Potato
only
drama.
not only did Mr. and Mrs. lose the Mr. and Mrs. to just a gender neutral potato head, but now you have three options: Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head, and Potato Head.
Hasbro was trying to make a non-gendered potato head. So now we got we discussed the whole Equality Act out of the way. Chris wanted to come up with what are the funniest things.
I've lost it here now. Like, we are in a clown. We're in a circus right now, and just
You killed me.
upside down world.
You kill me, bro. He sent me a picture of what was it like?
Okay,
Hungry.
okay. So I challenged Skaggs. I said, what products or characters are we going to cancel? So I came up with a few that need to be canceled because I'm going to play this game now.
Canceled or changed to non-gendered.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. The
Whatever.
first one you sent me killed me.
So here we go, everybody. Hungry Man Meals? No, it's fucking Hungry Person Meals. Chef Boyardee? I don't fucking think so. Chef RD. Okay? She.
I didn't even think of that. That's good. I had a hard time fucking thinking of like these things.
Oh, I had a couple of them. She-Hulk? Did you just assume the gender of a Hulk? We Hulk. All right? Two doomed men? No. Two doomed people.
Yes,
okay?
there you go.
This is where we are, people. This is. Yeah, see, I'm not assuming gender. I'm on the right path. Are you going to come and join me? We need to cancel these fucking gender, assignment, culture, and just obliterate it all. Fuck it. I'm on this team now. All right? Let's see how crazy we could get. Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man, you're fucking next. Okay? Mrs. Pac. Yeah, it's just going to be the Pac family. My God, how terrible is it that Mrs. Pac-Man has to have man in her fucking name?
You're right.
A man and a woman. My God, I'm done.
Yeah. I came up with jockstrap, grundlestrap. And my other favorite one was a shiwi, a piss tube. Because that's what it is basically.
Dude, yeah, it just He-Man, we could do
I put he/him man instead of he man.
Them man.
Yeah.
Actually, no, you can't even use man. That is He-Man needs to be canceled.
He does.
That
he's gone.
He-Man. Woof.
Yeah, then I put just for men, like the hair dye just for them.
Yes. See, there you go. You're on the right track. Cancel him.
Yeah.
Cancel him.
Yep. So that was really some of the funny ones. Another one was dumb. I put G.I. Joe, G.I. Doe.
But yeah, this is it's we're in a circus.
I wonder if Hasbro backtracked because of the. I wonder if you said maybe the whole thing was like a publicity scheme, like they knew people would be outraged and get their eyes on this thing, and now they backtracked and said no, there's just going to be 3. There's going to be one for everybody. I don't know if did they do that to appease like idiots like us, or did they? There's a whole thing just like
It all has to do with money. My real thing, though, is what I would like to see come like next Christmas or like the end of the year would be to see the sales numbers of Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head compared to Potato Head. Because I have a sneaking suspicion that Mr. and Mrs. are going to make a little bit more money.
They're going to get a bump?
Yeah.
They're going to get a bump in sales. All right. We're almost an hour in, so I think let's go to what I was talking to you before we started recording.
Oh,
And
Q.
yeah, so as most of you guys know by now, the captain he likes conspiracies, and he was he's not a Q person,
I was deep in it for a
but he
while.
read a lot of the Q
Yeah,
stuff, and he would sometimes share things with me, and I'd be there like, what? But you told me something
right.
last week that I burst out laughing. You were also laughing. You
Yeah.
thought it was even ridiculous, but tell everybody
So
what you
so
told
I'll
me
tell
last week
I'll
that I
tell
want to
the
get into.
story and then I'll tell what I've been getting into. So, anybody who's followed Q and considers himself an anon, there's no QAnons. Um, and who's ever been curious into any of this and read anything about it. January 20th was a big day. Everybody who was involved with Q or read Q articles and stuff like that really expected that, like, at 12:01, like, the National Guard was going to turn around and just arrest everyone at the inauguration, which, as a person who feels the establishment is guilty and that the swamp needs to be drained and that Biden was installed instead of elected, I was in favor of this because I've always been in favor of draining the swamp. But I promised you, and I've kept my word, that I rode the Trump train till the wheels fell off at 11:59 on January 20th, and I kept it that way. There was no arrests made, and I've stopped talking about Q. I've stopped fully diving into it. I still keep, it on my radar, but I don't go super crazy with it. But boy, since Biden has gotten in office, the whole Q community has severely, severely changed. All the crazies have come out now,
Mhm.
and there is a lot of talk about interdimensional travel and aliens, and Trump hasn't been around not because he's in Florida, because he is traveling through time to go fix things in the past, to come back to the future and save the day. These were some of the most insane things. Elvis and Michael Jackson are on Team Q. They faked their deaths. These were some wild fucking accusations that I've ever seen. I don't believe any of this. I don't think any of you should believe any of this. Listen, if the way things are going in society today, under Biden, we've lost the First Amendment. Biden isn't really going to come through on any of his 100-day promises. He ain't really going to come through on any of his promises. Even that guy Sean White,
Sean King.
on Twitter was like,
Mhm.
we're getting to a point where, like, Trump was better at giving out stimulus checks than
Checks.
Biden
Yeah.
is. Like, sooner or later, we're going to have the conversation of, do you miss Trump yet? Because shit ain't looking too good under the Biden administration. Not that it's any better than Trump's administration, but it doesn't look too good. I feel there's going to be a day where everybody's going to sit back and be like, damn, I wish Q was real and they arrested everyone during the inauguration.
And if they're missing Trump, they're shit out of luck because he's time traveling right now,
Yeah,
so he's too
well,
preoccupied.
yeah, he's with JFK Jr. and they traveled back to to when JFK was assassinated,
Hmm.
and they saved him, and they're going to come back and fix the
Right now,
world.
he's strangling baby Hitler.
Yeah. you know. So a lot of the crazies have come out. But
Dude, I'm
yeah.
sorry to interject, but in my opinion, the QAnon thing was all crazy people. For the people who were like writing the articles are nut jobs.
Yeah.
You have an open mind for everything, so
Well,
you
because I question this
you
stuff.
question everything. You have an open mind, so you'll read something that anybody writes. With an open mind, just like me. I had a friend sent me like a video about flat Earth theory, and I was like, "Listen, man, he's a nice guy. I love him to death." Sent it to me, and he legitimately wanted me to watch it with an open mind. So I'm like, "Okay, I like this guy, nice guy. I'll give him the time of day and watch some of this video." And that's what you did. There's nothing wrong with that. But like the people who are making those things for the most part are like the Q
Well,
shaman
see,
guy, the Q shaman guy.
he's not part of Q, man. He was never part. They only
He's the
labeled
Q
him.
shaman, bro. Come on, he's the Q shaman,
He
dude.
was
Those
only
are those.
labeled that because it fit the bill. He had nothing. That dude never popped up on any radar before the insurrection on January 6th. They only labeled him that because it made it look good.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
That's
I don't
true.
know the Q shaman guy's history, but like the people who were like in the Capitol building, like
Hmm.
flipping through the pages and saying like, oh, these we gotta get these fucks or whatever. Like those are not mentally stable people.
No.
Probably, I'm gonna say they're not the most. They're easily susceptible. Oh shit, like. You read it with an
Well,
open mind,
I
but
always took
did you
on
had on a fucking buffalo hat and you
no.
were storming the Capitol? No, because you're
I
not a fucking complete utter
right.
moron
I always
like some of
took
these
on
people are.
I always took on the Q stuff because I'll always say it. I've been in favor of locking Hillary Clinton up and everyone like her long before 2015, long before Trump announced he was going to run for president. Trump was the one that they piggybacked this on. Trump's not Q in any way, shape, or form,
Yeah,
but
he's their hero. He's their
right. But
he's their champion.
what drew me to it is they have the same agenda as me: drain the swamp, lock these people up. I don't care who gets locked up. Even if Trump got locked up, fine. It's one less corrupt person.
Hmm.
That's my goal. That's what I've
Yeah,
always been after.
and when
That's why it was easier to read into this stuff. Some of the stuff kind of came to fruition. Some of the stuff they did call, but in the end, anytime there was a date, anytime like
there's
you
always
know,
tomorrow.
yeah, the new big thing is March 4th. Nothing's happening on March 4th. There's nothing. I could promise you, nothing's going to take place.
Well, I think a lot of these guys, these Q people, are grifters too. Like that. That's a very popular thing, and you
I
can
think it grew out of it. I think grifters grew from the
yeah,
original
you can
source.
probably make a decent amount of money stringing along idiots to like. If I'm a really smart guy, I could pretend to be a Q person
Yeah.
and make up a whole bunch of crazy shit that sounds interesting, and people and like really gullible people will
Yeah.
follow it and like me, and then listen to me,
Yeah, no, that's a
my
strong
articles and
possibility.
whatever. They're grifting.
I mean, the new thing that also after Biden became into office was questioning the election and was saying that he's not the real president. And I don't really agree with it up until about what we talked about with the State of the Union address, where so we're not allowed to question the results of the election. Fine. But if we can't question the results of the election, you need to have Biden do some presidential shit. Bottom line. So there was a big controversy when Biden first stepped into the Oval Office that they changed the desk and the wallpaper within an hour of Trump leaving the
But he
office.
did that too, though. I think every
What?
new president redecorates the White House to their
Yeah,
own.
but they re-wallpapered an entire room within 1 hour. It didn't make sense. And in the pictures,
Why would you think there's like microphones or some shit in a wall?
I
I'm
don't
just
know
trying
what
to say
they
like,
no because what they were saying was that Biden's not the real president, so he's never actually been into the Oval Office. They've used a
oh,
movie set as the Oval Office, and there's pictures that kind of fucking correlate this where at the corner of the room there's kind of splits in the walls, and if you look through the window, so you know the window in the back of the Oval Office, it's a
yeah,
garden back there.
yes.
When Biden first stepped into office, there was all these pictures of trucks back there. There's no road back there. There's no people driving on
Yeah, but
the.
the picture could be photoshopped.
That's true. So, like I said, I stopped buying this stuff,
Like
but
like a Q person could have taken that photo, and in the real photo there was the rose garden or whatever in the background, and then they photoshopped it and put
it's
trucks and shit in the
it's all
background. I don't know.
possible. But there's a few things that pointed to some weird things to question, which I let go. But my issue with what kind of re-sparked my interest in like this Q bullshit,
The time traveling.
no, no, is that Joe Biden, every president has given a State of the Union address X number of days after being elected. Joe Biden doesn't have a date for his State of the Union address because, quote unquote, the FBI has found out that domestic terrorists want to blow up the Capitol building while he is presenting the State of the Union address. Mind you, the Capitol building is behind 10-foot tall, unscalable razor wire fences surrounded by thousands of National Guard members, yet we can't get a State of the Union address. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, listen, like I said, like, if we can't question the election results, make the guy do presidential shit. There is no reason. Anytime there is a State of the Union address, there is a threat level of some sort that there is going to be some type of attack.
They made a whole show off of it. Designated
Yeah.
Survivor, right?
It's impossible not to. Anytime the
Hmm.
president shows up anywhere, there is a threat level. So we're not going to. All of a sudden now, we have this weird election. We have these weird questions of where this guy is working. All he does is sign executive orders. He doesn't really talk to any fucking world leaders. He doesn't show up. He goes to bed early. We don't know much of what he's doing other than signing these executive orders, and now no State of the Union address. It's not that I'm following this Q shit, but I'm questioning this shit because there's
Mhm.
nothing normal. If this man got 80 million votes, he's the most popular elected president in the history of this country. There's no CNN special, there's no victory lap. Just think for yourself, like, forget Q and forget time traveling and the lizard people. This is not normal. This isn't, none of this
Yeah,
is
it's not.
normal.
I think this is. See, I don't think it's time traveling lizard people.
Neither,
I think it's just.
neither do I.
I think it's this is the strategy, and this was the strat. This is the way he ran for president. Minimal exposure. Call a lid at 8 a.m. They literally the other day 8 o'clock in the morning. They said that's it for today. Nothing else on the calendar. Nothing else on the schedule for the White House. This has been the schedule. He's an old guy, and he's not. He's on his way out. And they're trying to protect him. There's COVID. They're scared to death of that.
But here's my thing with the State of the Union address. All right, and you could bring up your point that you brought up the other day, and that's fine.
Yeah, you asked me. He asked me, why can't they do the State of the Union
Virtually.
virtually? But it's in the Constitution.
But we've already lost the First Amendment. This administration doesn't give a fuck about the Constitution. He would be hailed a hero for doing some no carbon footprint. You didn't have to travel to the Capitol building. This is the new age. He's pushing us forward. We're progressives. It's all not. Listen, we are not experts, but if I could figure out how to make this more efficient, there's something fucking wrong.
Yeah, it is in the Constitution that the president has to give the State of the Union to Congress. But you're right, and I guess on like a broader idea way to think of it, like I see what you're saying. Like, well, how come they could choose to ignore the Second Amendment, but they have to follow this thing for this?
Yeah.
Everybody's people, you know what I mean? And like the Constitution's a piece of paper. But okay, it's not like the Constitution is a computer program, and we are inside a computer, and we are bound by the laws of
We
this
might
computer.
be in the Matrix.
We're not though. But you know what I mean? Like, okay, think of it this way: in any video game you play, there's NPCs. You know, an NPC is non-player character. They're bound by the rules of the game, of the hardboard, the motherboard. Whoever created the game wrote these, code that the NPC, the computer people, they say this and they say that, and they can't go outside. They can't just do something different. They can't go outside the box because no. That's their thing in the game. That's literally like the law that they have to follow. They cannot go outside of it. The Constitution doesn't do that because we're in real life.
Yeah.
And it's open to interpretation, So, and like people will pick things they like and follow those things, and then things they don't like, they'll not follow those things. And that's kind of like human nature.
Yeah, but amazing that this is where the Biden administration draws the line. Forget this.
Because they just don't want to do it.
Every president has given a State of the Union address. It's kind of an important thing to do. But I really don't think it's the proper time to go off the rails and not do presidential shit after the questioning of the election that we just had. You know what I'm saying? Like, fine, we're not going to question the election. Cool. Let's keep a little bit of status quo then.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. Let's not rock the boat anymore that it's already been rocked.
Thank you.
And they seem to only be doing that by labeling everybody domestic terrorists. Like they're playing into the Q people's shit. I don't believe the Q shit at all. At the same time, these idiots are fucking playing into their hand.
Yeah, they're strengthening this ridiculous point at at a certain point, basically. And the State of the Union is something important. I'm very interested. Listen, we did episodes on the debates. We've done episodes on Biden's first 100 days. We could go back and show what he's already lied about and what he's not going to come together on promises on. I want to know the State of the Union. I want to see what he has to say. This is important stuff to me. This is a new administration. I didn't get my guy. I want to know what you're offering now. I want to know what you're doing. There's 75 million people who want to know what you're doing. But just question it. Think for yourself. They said, what, the Proud Boys and who? Oath keepers
Oath keepers
are domestic
threatening.
terrorists to
Never even heard of the Oath
so
keepers
these
before.
little gangs, trust me, these gangs can't be more than maybe 1,500 people at that, are threatening the Capitol building that is around Razor Wire and the National Guard. There's no way that they could be posing this big of a threat. I find it so
It's
hard to
suspicious.
believe. You know why I find it suspicious? The two of us have a finger on the pulse of the political landscape, a minor
Hmm.
finger on the pulse, I'd say. There's people that have greater understanding than we do. But I read conspiracies. You do research. We are on social media 24/7. We see hashtags. We see memes. We have political pages. Not once in any of our endeavors through the political landscape have we come across Oath
Oath keeper.
Keepers.
I've never have. I've come across the
Proud
Proud
Boys,
Boys and
yes. And
and
I
all
didn't
that,
come
but I've
across
never
Proud
heard
Boys
of the Oath
until
keepers.
January, until
I've
right
known about the
before.
Proud Boys for a long time.
Okay, yeah, I
A long
never.
time. And I'm always on Twitter trying to like see what's going on and see what political commentators and things have to say. And I've
So,
never heard of the
so
Oath
you
keepers
really
ever.
think that two people? Now we're not experts and we're
Maybe
not
we missed it,
geniuses, but statistically, with
mm,
all the research we do, all the pages we're on, all the things we look at for Oath Keepers, there's not even a meme about them.
yeah, I've never seen anything.
If there's no meme about you, you
Mhm.
probably don't exist.
Yeah, I mean, and how hard would it be for them to just put them in an article and now they exist?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like just
and
breathe life into them.
and it's not like the government or the media has ever hyped up a threat that's not really a threat.
Hmm.
It's here. We need domestic terrorists. Oath keepers sound like a good name. It could there could be no oath keepers, but they could label 5 people oath keepers and say they're going to take over
Yeah.
America.
Question everything, I guess, right?
That's
There's
why
nothing
I.
wrong with doing critical thinking, questioning everything.
Well, except for that New York Times article or
Yeah,
whatever, where they
they'll
said
tell you,
don't
they'll tell you,
critical think.
you know, that's something that's lacking nowadays is critical thinking. You don't have to fucking, you should think critically, even when you're reading some, like reading Q stuff is thinking critically, but then you should also think critically about the Q stuff, like
Yeah.
I do. Like I'll be like, okay, I'll read the flat Earth theory, and then I'll be like, this sounds like horseshit because I'm thinking critically while I'm thinking critically.
Yeah, well, why do you think once I heard about, portals to the fifth dimension and
Yeah,
Michael
right.
Jackson faked his death and Trump time traveled, did I kind of give up on
Yeah,
this shit?
right,
Because
exactly.
listen, if you told me Trump had a document that was going to do X, Y, and Z,
Right,
okay,
that's
maybe,
believable,
maybe
right?
Trump's got this document. But Trump is right now choking out baby Hitler.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
All right.
And on that note, fuck
yeah.
baby Hitler. All right, to Doom Nation. Sorry, thank you guys for joining us again. You're good, right? Any
Yeah,
other
that's it.
topics?
That's good.
Yes. Um, big order of the day. We got that PS5 digital edition. We know you want it. We know you know somebody who wants it. We got to get that out there. Skaggs is going to bring it over and show you that we physically have it and we're not pulling your leg. There it is. Look how beautiful she is. I'm kind of jealous because
It's hard to get them.
I really want to play this.
Yeah. So far, I'm an Xbox guy, and there's no reason to even get the new Xbox because there's no games for it. At least this has like Spider-Man and God of War
Spider-Man
and like all
alone,
those other things.
Spider-Man alone really wanted me to. I really wanted to buy PS4 just to play Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Um,
The first one, yeah. The
yeah.
new one's the Miles Morales one.
Yes.
Yeah, those were good games apparently.
I'm jealous that we're giving this away. Me and him obviously can't enter into this raffle, so please, $55 in entry. If you prove to us that you follow us on Instagram at 2DoMen_podcast and subscribe to us on our YouTube page at 2DoMen, you get $5 taken off. Once we reach the 30 people minimum, those 30 people will receive, we have to work it out because some people might not live in New York, but those people will receive a $50 gift card. So you're basically buying a raffle and a gift card to Pete's Saloon in Elmsford, New York. Shout out Anthony.
Yes.
He's a small business. Check out episode 52. Great guy, great restaurant, great food. You are not going to be disappointed. And then you go home and play this bad bitch right here. So it's a win-win situation. And on top of it, some of the proceeds will be donated to Barstool Small Business Fund. So you could actually help out Anthony in his small business at Pete's Saloon by donating the money to the small business fund, raffling this off. It's
Wins all around.
yeah,
Everybody
win win
wins.
win,
Yeah.
people. If you watch The Office, it's a win 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 situation.
All
So, as always, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You can listen to us on all the major podcast channels: Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can check us out on Instagram is at 2domen underscore podcast. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter is at 2domen. Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you guys. There's going to be a video coming out about this. All the information will be in the caption below it. And thank you guys for another week of listening to our nonsense. All right, guys. Adios.
Later.